It's getting hot in here, like uncomfortably hot. Like, I don't think I should be wearing clothes in the sauna. Not very different than needing money for your next real estate transaction and not having the money. Today, I'm gonna share with you the 5 ways that I secure money for every deal I do, whether you do have money or whether you don't.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Money, money, money. You need money to make money. That's what everybody says. But you know what? It doesn't have to be yours. Think how successful banks are. When was the last time you walked into a bank that had dingy wall coverings and peeling wallpaper, the carpets were destroyed, and the teller has a stogie in their mouth and like, what can I do for you today? You don't have that experience. Dude, it's glass, it's granite, it's nice. Banks are nice. Why? Because they treat you like a dum-dum. They take your money, they lend it out, they invest it, and what do they give you in exchange? A sucker, because you are one. Because all they give you is like 0.0 nothing % on your money. How stupid is that? Today I'm gonna teach you how to get banks at their own game. I'm gonna show you how to access their money, whether you're doing it through a person, through a bank, or some other way. Because today, I'm gonna show you the 5 strategies I use when it comes to funding deals, because guess what? This is the #1 reason why you haven't done that deal. You're saying, I don't got the money. We're gonna fix that right now. I was stressed out of my mind trying to get my first house financed because I found the deal, it had the equity, which meant that it was worth a lot more than I was buying it for. The moment I signed on the dotted line and bought this house, I was gonna be $40,000 richer on paper. I was gonna be able to rent out the basement. I was gonna live for free. There was just one problem. I couldn't get a bank to give me money. I remember when I got turned down in the first 2 weeks and the bank's like, well, we were gonna give you a loan and we found a reason why we're not. And you know what? It just it messed with my mind. I go to a different bank, same experience, got turned down. Thank God, on the last time I went to a bank, literally prayers were answered because the bank literally got me barely in. And on the very last day to buy that house, I was able to sign on those loan documents. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna freaking figure this out. I'm gonna master this because if becoming successful and wealthy through real estate requires that level of stress, I'm out. Chances are the whole reason why you're looking for money in the first place for doing some kind of deal, maybe it's to buy yourself a new primary residence, like a home that you're gonna live in. But you might be watching this video because you're a subscriber on my channel saying, Kris, help me get rich. Dude, I wanna be financially free at age 26 like you. Teach me how and where I get money to do deals, whether it is for real estate, whether it's for business, whether it's for whatever's gonna financially grow you and get you where you wanna go. Because you probably got your hands on some facts.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
This little cartoon image isn't very funny when you understand that what it's saying is that 1 in 3 Americans has $0 for retirement. That motivated me to want to become a millionaire in real estate because I realized that society wasn't going to give me a pension. They weren't going to financially take care of me. On the other end of the spectrum though, only 13%, usually old people, have amassed a net worth of $300,000. And just so we're clear with each other, when you're used to living off of $60,000 or $80,000 a year, 300 grand is going to last you like 4 years, and then you're gonna run out of money and you're gonna be screwed because our concept on retirement is a little bit more like eggs, broken eggs, right? Like they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. We don't even have eggs in the basket. We have an egg and it's small. Like you're not gonna feel very full after you eat that breakfast. Now, chances are if you're looking for funding for a deal, you've come to realize that if you give your money for someone else to manage, they're not gonna do a great job. For example, an IRA, 7% return over 30 years, bonds 5%, 401ks 6%. Guess what all that single digit trash is going to give you? A whole lot of nothing. Not very different here than this piggy bank. Savings 0.0 nothing, nada, who cares, garbage crap percent. Dum-dums, suckers, that's what's going on there. So instead, guess what you can do? You can extract money from these accounts and you can put it into real estate. And if you don't know how to earn 25% every year on real estate, you gotta make sure you click the link below and get a chance to actually learn how I've done that on my last 4,500 deals buying real estate every single day for the last decade. Creating wealth is actually really easy. JB Shea put it this way: creating wealth is a function of moving assets from low yields to high yields. So instead of earning 0.0 nothing% or 7%, if you earn 25% compared to 6%, do you know what the difference is over 20 years? 25 times more money. Hence, this video showing you the 5 ways to get some money, make some deals happen. Based on what I'm about to teach you, I found the money I needed, not just for my first deal, but I leveraged that first deal to buy my second, that then became 4 deals, and before I knew it, 10 homes, 25 homes. I was financially free, and before you knew it, I was borrowing my first $1 million to do a really big deal. So what I'm gonna show you today is whether you were like me, starting literally with nothing, or whether you've saved up some money, maybe in a 401k, IRA, or equity in a home, I'm gonna show you the 5 different ways that I've used in the last 15 years to transact all of these homes that we're talking about. And it starts small. Like, I want you to understand that from really small things come really, really, really big things.
From small beginnings, great things come to pass.
The first house I bought was an investment, but it was also a house that I was gonna live in. It was my own, what I call a primary residence, meaning it's for me, it's for no one else. And what's cool about a primary residence is that it is the first of my 5 core funding the strategies. Think about it for just a moment. You can get into a home that you're gonna live in for only 3% down. Normally, when you buy a property that you're not gonna occupy, the banks want you to put 20% down. That's a lot of money. I mean, if you think about like a 20% down on $300,000 home, that's 60 G's. That's a lot of money, but 3% on $300,000 is like 9 grand, right? I can use my fingers still to count how little money that is. So here's the benefits of buying a primary residence. If you're willing to move into a property and commit to the bank that you're gonna live there with an intention of at least 12 months, they'll actually let you get in that house with as little as 3%. So when I bought my very first house, I took 14 months, I saved up $5,000, and that 5 grand was enough to get me into that first property. By the way, that 5 grand turned into $1.6 million without adding 1 additional penny with what I'm gonna share with you at the end of this video. Now, there's some very obvious pros and cons with this particular strategy. The pro, it's not a lot of money. In the game of real estate, that is the least amount a bank is ever gonna ask you to put down. I'm about to show you how you can get in with no money, but as far as banks go, this is cheap. There are some disadvantages. Number 1, you gotta move every time you enact the strategy. My wife and I, we moved the first time, we moved the second time, and when we moved into my third house, my wife turned to me and she said, "Kris, I ain't doing this again." So it doesn't always go down the right way, but you need to know it's an option. Lastly, it can lock you in. You have to sign a piece of paper that says, "Bank, my intention is to live here for 12 months." Now, it actually doesn't mean you have to, because intentions change, but that is the commitment that you're actually signing. So if you wanted to build all of your wealth just using this strategy, I do want you to understand that in time you're gonna amass wealth, but it's not what I would call your most aggressive, fastest strategy. This is like 1 home over time becoming 2 homes, over time can become more homes, and even though it's the way I got started, it's not gonna be the real pathway to millions of dollars. It's just a start. The second form of funding is what's called conventional financing. Now, conventional financing is the bank's normal way of transacting real estate. You see, they're not saying put 3% down. They're saying, "Kris, we want you to put 20% down." And if you put 20% down on a typical investment property, that's a big chunk of change. That can be 30 grand, it can be 40 grand, it can be 50 grand, it could be 60 grand. Now, we're not talking about a primary residence where you have to uproot and move your life and your family somewhere. This is what's called non-owner occupied real estate, meaning I'm the owner and I ain't gonna live there, I'm not gonna occupy it, and that's conventional financing. Now, you gotta understand that when you buy a house, if you put only a little bit down or you put a lot down, that affects the equity in the home. In other words, whatever you're buying it for, if you put a 3% down payment, it only pays off 3% of the house. If I put 20% down, it pays down 20%. So like you check out this graph, if I buy a primary residence, I actually have a smaller equity slice than if I do a conventional financing and I've got more of the house paid off. There's some clear advantages to using conventional financing. You don't gotta move. And on top of that, you're gonna wind up with a bigger equity stake, and I'm gonna show you how you can actually leverage that to accelerate your portfolio acquisition so you can actually buy more homes faster. On the other hand, there is a clear disadvantage. It takes more money to buy real estate, right? 20% down is like a $30, $40, $50, $60,000 chunk of change. However, ultimately, this is what you need to know. If you move your assets around and use conventional financing to start buying real estate, you might be transitioning money into your portfolio, but it is going to accelerate and grow a whole lot faster than the primary residence strategy. In other words, 3 becomes 6, 6 becomes 12, and before you know it, my 25 homes meant over $10,000 a month, and that made me financially free. Earlier today, I saw a pack of wild rabbits just right through here. And it reminded me that the most powerful strategy I want to share with you is rabbit money. Like literally how you get your money to multiply like rabbits. Viewer discretion is advised. You see, you want to get your real estate to multiply like rabbits. Like you want your houses to have babies. And how you do that is with something called a refinance. You see, if you bought the house with a 20% down payment, or if you wait for it to appreciate and go up in value, eventually the house is going to be worth a higher amount than what you owe. And you can go to the bank and say, hey bank, I want some of that money out. And that's called a cash out refinance. In other words, I want to redo the loan and I want to pull some money out. Maybe I'm going to lower my rate, but pulling the money out is the most important thing. Now, why would I want to pull money out of my real estate while I continue to rent it and keep making big money? To buy more real estate. In other words, I want this house to give birth to more houses. And if I start with, let's call it 3 houses, by refinancing them, I can keep the original 3 and get enough money to buy 3 more. And all of a sudden, my rabbits have made 6 houses for me. Now, what's really cool about this is that in time, this geometric growth can turn 6 houses into 12, 12 into 24. And before you know it, you've got hundreds of properties. And guess what that means? It means that you have some additional lifestyle choices. Kris, thank you so much for this video. It's so much good information. I'm already subscribed to your channel. I actually hit the button because I love this information. However, Shada, my friend, I don't have any money. How do I actually buy real estate if my pockets are, how they say, empty? Gretchen, no problem. Let me show you how to do it. The 4th funding strategy that I want to talk about is what I call partnering. Partnering is when you basically say, I can find deals, I can go get deals, I have a deal, but I don't got the money. I'm not gonna move into the house and put 3% down. I don't got 20% to put down. I can't pilfer my sucky 401ks and IRAs to go and buy the deal. And I don't have another house with equity I can refinance with rabbit money. So what am I doing? Am I screwed? And the answer is partnering. I had just bought my 3rd property and I was so excited because I had landed the 4th deal that I wanted to buy. Only problem, I was out of money and I didn't know how I was gonna buy this home. And at that time, my father-in-law had been kind of critiquing what I was doing, and he for sure thought it was just downright weird that I was in college and buying homes, and he didn't really get it. But I remember that having 3 homes and a track record, he got curious. And right when I thought I was gonna have to turn down that 4th deal, he called me up and asked what I was doing. He asked me about my real estate, my returns. And I remember when he said, you know what, it sounds like what you're doing is working. If I give you the money, will you actually do all the work and we can partner? I'll be your financial partner. And you know what? I said yes. The 4th core strategy to buying real estate is, while it does take money to make money, it most certainly does not have to be yours. So here's how financial partnering typically works. There's an active partner, and then there's a passive or a funding partner. Now, I was always the active partner, earning 50% of the cut of the deal because I was finding the deals, I was repairing them, fixing them, leasing, managing, selling. I was doing all the work, basically. But my funding partner, who started out as my father-in-law, he basically provided the capital. He wanted to be there to help make important key decisions of buying and selling. And outside of that, this partnership worked beautifully. In fact, that fourth deal, we made so much money that he said, you know what? Let's do this again. And we ended up doing it 50 times. But you know what? I decided to go on and get way more than 50 partners. I learned that I was actually really good at finding the very best deals, and I had built a team. Today it's 200 people that do all of the work, and now we're capped out with ROI sometimes as high as 30%. That means you're putting $1 in, and in 3 years, you're doubling that dollar. So I'm doing real estate so well and so successfully that a lot of people, even watching these videos, will sometimes reach out to me personally or try to connect with me and say, hey, Kris, I would like to partner with you. And while I can't partner with very many people because the deals are limited, I mean the really good deals, there's only so many of them, this is a strategy that you can use. Let me ask you, do you know someone that has money that is not earning good returns on it? Do you know someone that has some money sitting in the bank and they're not content? Do you know someone that has money in a 401k or an IRA and is stressed out about the market and they're not really earning any money on it anyway? Do you know someone like a parent or a friend or a coworker or someone that has had a chance to be at a job long enough to accumulate some money? Do you know people who are financially responsible? You see, I bet you could go through your cell phone and just make a list of people that you think earn well and are good savers and have been at it for a while. And that list are people that you could contact and say, hey, guess what? I'm out there doing deals. I just found this amazing deal. If you put up the money, boom, boom, we could be 50-50 partners. We could be 60-40 partners. We could be 70. Guys, get the deal done.
Do we have a deal?
Do we have a deal?
No. Is it going to be a deal?
Is there a deal?
I don't know. Is there?
Is the deal done?
The deal could be done.
This is one of my all-time favorite strategies because most important, you learn there's a resource more important than money, more important than good deals. The most important resource on the planet is people. And no matter how big your dreams are, if you'll enroll and engage other people, together we can always accomplish more. In real estate, there's so much leverage. We always say that 1 + 1 = 11. In other words, in the game of real estate, a little bit of leverage goes a really long way. So check out how cool partnering is. Some of the pros, you don't have to come up with money. You get to share the tax benefits, and good partners, if they like the track record, they're gonna fund a whole lot of deals. But on the other side, be aware, with the strategy, someone's gotta do the work, and if you're not putting up the money, you might have to be the one supplying that. And don't forget, you gotta split the profits. But in my world, I'd rather have half of a lot of different things than 100% of nothing. So the fifth and final strategy is one of my all-time favorites because it brought me so far financially to become financially free. And this strategy is called seller financing. Seller financing is when someone already owns the home, and instead of them selling it and you going to a bank and getting money like kind of real estate the normal way, this is more like going to people that already own homes that are sick and tired of owning the home and they're sick and tired of renting it, but for whatever reason they haven't chosen to sell it yet. And this is you going to them and basically saying, hey, let me step in and take over this property. Let me step in and remove some of the headaches. Let me step in and get this rented out and I'll do it all for you. And let's agree upon what you get, let's agree upon what I get, and let me provide a solution to your don't want her problem. Kris, this sounds amazing, but how on earth would I go about finding something like that? Well, let me share it with you. You see, with seller financing, there's an opportunity for you to put, again, $0 down or maybe a little bit down, maybe $1,000, maybe $5,000, but not $50,000. It's often little to nothing. And you basically need to find someone who owns a property that is willing to allow you to come in and take control over it. And you can do all of this outside of the bank. Now look at how beautiful this is. If you could find a situation like this, they basically become the bank. You skip all of the qualifications, you skip going through all of that brain damaging chaos, and you become an almost instant owner of real estate. Let me give you an example of how this goes down. Let's say for a moment that you were looking at homes for rent, and you were looking specifically for homes that looked like they were renting a little bit lower than other homes in the neighborhood. That's often an indication that someone who's not super professional or doesn't want to own the property is just trying to get the home rented. If you just exclusively called those people and said, hey, I'm looking at renting your home, but not for 12 months. In fact, I'd like to rent it long term and I'd like to eventually buy it. Would you be open to that? If someone says yes, it's often a clear indication that real estate is a headache for them and they want out of that headache, and you could be the solution. Because to them it sounds like only have to find a renter once for the next 5 or 10 years. That sounds easier. So with those individuals, you actually sit down with them and suggest something like this. Hey, I would like to actually in time purchase this property, and I'd like to purchase it for $150,000. Now, if they've held the property for a long time and they don't want it anymore, if you know that they owe a lot less on it, you might be able to give them a purchase price that puts a smile on their face.
Let's put a smile on that face.
And then you let them know, I'm gonna own this home, I'm gonna control it, I'm gonna rent it out to somebody else, and it's my responsibility to sell it X number of years from now. So you agree on a payment. Let's call it $800 a month. It's a little bit low, but that's important because you're gonna rent it to somebody else, and there needs to be a positive amount of money that you can get after you're done renting it. So here's your agreement. I'll buy it in 5 years for $150 grand, and I'll pay you $800 every month, and I'm not giving you a down payment, but I'm gonna solve your problems. I'm gonna manage this, and I'm gonna make sure that in the next 5 years, I buy it from you. What are you gonna do with that property? You're not moving into it. You put a tenant in there under a rent-to-own scenario and say, hey, I actually want to help you buy this house down the road, not just rent it. But you're going to buy it for $180. And they're like, that's a great price. Well, guess what? You owe the person you're getting it from $150. You're basically selling it to them down the road for a difference of $30,000 more. They agree to pay $1,100 a month. Well, if you're paying the first guy $800 a month and you're collecting $1,100, who's going to get the $300 in the middle? That person is you, the investor. And they also agree to give you $5,000 down. Well, let's run some math. I have an upside of 30 grand. I have a positive cash flow of $300 a month, and I'm getting 5 grand up front. Do these deals exist in the real world? 100%. Dude, you set me loose for a couple hours, I'm gonna find a deal like this, and before you know it, I'm doing real estate without banks and without money. Now, if you do deals this way, the clear benefits, you can do deals with literally little or no money down. You get to keep 100% of the revenue, and you pick up some pretty cool tax benefits. However, disadvantages is until you get good at it, sometimes these deals are harder to find. It takes some practice and experience. You don't have any backing from partners, and of course, you're the one that has to do the work to make this happen. Now today, I've shared with you 5 ways of financing real estate. 2 that take money, and then 3 that actually don't. It's about extracting or using other people's money or other people's resources. And if you're watching this video, you might be thinking one of 2 things. Man, Kris, I've got some money sitting in a 401k or IRA or home equity. I would love to multiply that. There's a link down below for you where I can give you a shortcut to tapping into some of my most profitable deals, and where you can step into high ROI deals and actually make your money start working for you. Or you're watching this video and saying, Kris, I really don't got a whole lot of money to my name. Maybe I got no money to my name, but you shared some things today, but I would need some help learning how to do that. And if you click, I also have a link for you where I'm actually going to show you how to find no money down deals. I'm actually going to show you how to target and access those so that whether you do or don't have money, the thing that's important to me is that as a subscriber of this channel, I'm helping you grow your wealth. Those 2 links below are your next steps to building wealth right now. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to learn more about partnering and the deals that I'm up to and doing, you got to check out the series right now. One of my partners bought 5 homes in just 5 months, and you can watch it all right here. Up a ship without a creek or a paddle. Up a battleship. Up a boat. Up a boat without a creek. Up a river without a boat. Up without